see what else we find.
Right. They supposedly conducted a thorough, quote unquote, radioactive cleanup of the entire area, which ended up being about 20 tons of radioactive soil, including plants that were removed and deposited in White Sands Desert.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just dump radioactive stuff in White Sands, New Mexico.
Yeah, I ain't going there.
Yeah, I've been there as a kid. Maybe that's what's wrong with me.
You have a glow about you, Adam.
Yeah, right? It's kind of a green glow like Mr. Burns. So while they were down there, they noticed all these weird things, and they kind of alerted the Mexican government of it. So research since that point has been done in the zone of silence. And the Mexican government has actually constructed a research complex that they say is studying unusual local habitat and wildlife. And after I read this quote, Matt and I are going to talk about this for a second. Now, quote, the environment of the area is unique and has its own species. 31 species of endemic plants, such as certain species of cactus, and 75 species of protected animals, given the paleontological and pre-Hispanic past of the region. In 1979, the area was declared part of the Mapimi-Bolson Biosphere Reserve, and a laboratory had been built next to Cerro San Ignacio the previous year, said Dr. Samuel Banda. Now, here's the problem with that. That you can't find what those actual species are, the endemic species. So I don't know how you can say you have endemic species there that you can't find anywhere else and not be able to prove it by showing pictures or even a description of the thing in some science magazine or journal. Right.
And I was able to find pictures of the purple pear cactus that grows there. The reason I could find pictures of the purple pear cactus is because you can buy them, everywhere.
On Amazon.
You can get them on eBay. Yeah. I mean, I could have ordered, and I thought they were cool. We have cacti at the house. I thought they were cool. I was telling Amanda, hey, we need to order one of these. I can get this one for $12.
Yeah. Right.
Here it is, this bright purple cactus. Well, it's cool, but I don't really see where it's somehow magically purple because it's in the zone of silence.
You know how?
They're everywhere. How?
Jeff Bezos went down there and collected it personally to put on Amazon.
He's down there wearing one of them hats. Looks like the mural you find in Mexican restaurants where they're harvesting the agave. He's got that big old spade shovel that he's digging.
Yep, harvesting purple pear cactuses.
Got a little kerchief around his neck.
He's like, this will go great on Amazon.
But Adam's right. The animals, like, the foot-long centipedes with a purple head and a purple stinger, you don't really find any pictures of that. I don't have any pictures of six-legged coyotes. The Mapimi tortoise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. I mean, you can find a picture of it. There's really nothing that says it's indigenous to that area. It doesn't necessarily. It's not odd in any way. It's just a particular species of tortoise. There's
a lot of tortoises that are indigenous to different areas of the world.
Right.
It's not special.
I don't see, and we hunted. In fact, I spent, probably the entire last part of my research looking for some evidence of this, and it's just not out there. I mean, if you go hunting real deep, you might be able to find some picture, but if you're only finding one, there's a really good chance that it's not authentic.
Right, right. It needs to be backed up with verification and stuff like that for you to say, yeah, this is truly an endemic species of this area, and, I can't find this in the rest of Mexico.
But you hear that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
There's so many weird creatures there. Okay.
Yeah. Prove it.
Show me one.
Right.
You've obviously seen something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What are the unicorns down there? stuff like that. That's what I want to know. But it doesn't seem like that's all that factual,
No, it's probably a urban legend that has been blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
And now it just gets repeated in, online discussions about the zone of silence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, theorists also, along with these weird endemic species that don't exist, theorists also speculate that the government is studying more than it's actually admitting, because there's plenty of anomalies to research in the zone, quote unquote. One of the many unusual observable properties in this area is its high levels of magnetite and uranium deposits that scientists attribute electromagnetic pulses that are said to be the source of the disrupted signals. Now, I'll give you that, because one of the theories about the Bermuda Triangle is that several of the islands around there have high magnetite deposits in the soil, so it will throw off compasses.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get enough in an area, it can emit an electromagnetic field far enough to disrupt electronic equipment and whatnot. But unless we're talking about really high quantities of magnetite and uranium, then I don't think it's going to be that big of a thing. Because one of the things they're talking about that Matt's going to tell you about is stuff coming from higher than a airplane being pulled to that area.
Right.
So that would have to be a lot of magnetite.
And one of the strangest things about the zone of silence is, and this magnetic field that they keep talking about, is that it moves around according to the believers, and its exact location keeps shifting, and there's no real way to predict it. Now, the believers will say this is why you can get a cell phone signal down there. This is why your radio may work and why your compass may seem unaffected, is because it's moving. It's constantly moving. It's also why they can't plot it on a vector map of the magnetic fields, which you can look, you can download a map of a vector map of the magnetic fields of the Earth, and it will show you. It uses little arrows to kind of show you the direction.
I've actually done that for several of our episodes. And look, believe it or not, that's one of the things I look at, see if there's high, weird magnetic things there.
But, skeptics really say that this is a convenient way for people to purport this urban legend, by saying, oh, well, it's moving. It's, it's not stationary.
Right.
Well, okay. Well, when's it coming back?
Yeah.
But
how long do I have to sit here till it comes back to me?
Yeah. And Adam made a really good point. If we're talking about things like uranium and magnetite, iron, all of these things that would affect the magnetic field, that has to be huge.
Sure.
I mean, it's got to be powerful, and which, would be measurable for it to affect, not only, a compass or something on the ground, but radio equipment and navigational equipment in the air. I mean,
500 miles away for that one rocket, the Athena. It would have to reach at least 500 miles.
And as we get into this, you're going to hear some people even speculate that it's so powerful that it's, like Adam said, it's sucking stuff from space.
Mm-hmm.
It's attracting stuff from space, to come, and we're going to talk more about it, but there's, when you talk to the people that buy into this, they have this idea that there is an unusual amount of meteorites that hit in this area because of this, magnetic presence. And it's just pulling them there, just like it did with the Athena rocket.
Right.
It just pulled it there. I'm like,
in turn, then adds more iron to your area. If that's a theory you're going, then it's pulling meteors, which would have to be, miles and miles up into space to be able to direct it to that one spot. It would have to go ahead and grab a hold of it and be strong enough to pull it down. And even, Matt, even a rare earth magnet can't do that. And rare earth magnets can do everything.
Okay, Adam, let's take a minute and talk about HelloFresh. Now, HelloFresh is a meal delivery service where you can get mouth-watering seasonal recipes with pre-measured ingredients delivered right to your door. It's America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh makes cooking at home fun, easy, and affordable. And HelloFresh's recipes are so delicious. So break out of your dinner rut with HelloFresh's 22-plus seasonal chef-curated recipes each week. And HelloFresh helps you save time. HelloFresh cuts out stressful meal planning and prep so that you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in just about 30 minutes or even 20 minutes with their quick recipe option.
That's right. And that's one of the coolest things for me about doing it is, we're able to get dinner on the table really quick. And Michael is actually able to help out because it's easy recipe. So he's able to get in there and help us mix stuff and prep some of the things. And so that makes it a little more fun for him. And I hate going to the store. Like, I did that today. I hate going grocery shopping. And you don't have to with this because, like Matt said, it's delivered right to your door. And the cool thing is, HelloFresh is flexible and it actually fits your lifestyle. You can add extra meals or lunches to your weekly order, or you can throw in sides and desserts like garlic bread or cookie dough if you feel like it. There's many ways that you can easily change your delivery days and food preferences too. You can skip a week whenever you need to. If you're going out of town and you're like, hey, I can't get a meal delivery this week, so I'm going to. And apparently the puppy really likes HelloFresh too because he's chiming in. So while he's chiming in about it, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you go to HelloFresh.com/graveyard10 and you use our code graveyard10, you can get 10 free meals, including free shipping.
That's right. So Graveyard Tells listeners can go to HelloFresh.com/graveyard10 and use the promo code graveyard10 to get 10 free meals, including free shipping. This concentration of these meteor strikes, they say that there's almost a small meteor hitting that area daily. Okay. But the fact is debated because a lot of researchers will say that there's no more meteors here than anywhere else in the world. Now, in truth, one of the largest known meteors to ever hit the Earth crashed into the ground here at a place called Pueblito de Allende. See, I told you my Spanish sucks. I learned Spanish from watching Sesame Street. But it hit in February of 1969, and it's now called the Allende meteorite. It came down at an estimated speed of 10 miles per second and created a shock wave and a boom that was heard over a huge distance, and it's one of the loudest sounds ever recorded. How did they know to hit record?
Right.
I couldn't get the DJ when I was a kid to shut up and I could hit record to get that song that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys actually managed to record a meteor traveling at 10 miles per second hitting the Earth. But the witnesses of that meteor strike said that the flash produced, it was like staring directly into a flash bulb.
Jeez.
But there was a meteorite that crashed in Chihuahua in the late 1950s, and it contained crystalline structures that researchers said outdate the solar system itself. How in the world can you
That is wild.
that. But researcher Luis Medea Villalobos concluded that this meteorite contained material he quoted as old as the universe. Now, our solar system is estimated to be about 6 billion years old.
Mm-hmm.
The meteorite's age was estimated to be 13 billion years old.
Wow.
Now,
it's been traveling a long time.
Yeah, there are constant falls of small metallic orbs in this area, and the locals call these things guijolas. So, you know, there are meteor showers that happen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we're talking about almost a daily shower of space material,
right,
hitting this area. And this is where some people theorize that aliens did something in this area. You know, with the UFO sightings. There's this idea that aliens visited this area years ago, like centuries ago. And there's something there that they left behind that causes this. And some people even have speculated that it's some type of alien portal. And that's why it gets all this meteor activity. But magnetic anomalies like you find in the zone of silence have long been associated with UFO activity. And this whole idea of ancient astronauts, did alien beings, build the pyramids, or at minimum teach ancient Egyptians how to do it?
Right.
Was Machu Picchu, built with the assistance of aliens? That there's theories there, and Adam and I have talked about that before. But those that say this is what's going on, or they have this idea that aliens, did something that caused this, they point out that because it's near the Tropic of Cancer and it lies in between the 26 and 28 parallel, and it lies in connection to the Bermuda Triangle and the pyramids in Egypt, that all of these things are connected, and that common denominator is alien intervention.
Sure.
So, okay. Now, there is one thing odd that's in the zone of silence, and I looked for pictures of this, Adam, and I couldn't find them. There's ancient ruins that are there, and some people call it the Mexican Stonehenge.
Yeah,
and
I couldn't find them either.
They have no idea what it is. They can't determine how old they are, but they seem to believe that it was some type of astronomical observatory, thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
Again, when it comes to talking about the zone of silence, you see a lot of reaching. They really take what they believe to understand about so many other places around the globe and just kind of infer it upon the zone of silence without near as much evidence as they have with other places. I mean, it might be a good thing for, you to have seen the See You Live show to catch what we're talking about. But in a nutshell, this idea that Stonehenge was connected to the stars and the pyramids at Giza were connected to the stars. They're taking what they understand about those places, or at least what they think they understand, and they're just applying it here. And,
right.
It's funny. I had a conversation earlier this week with a lady that actually works with a paleontologist, and we were discussing the Sia show, and she knew everything before I said it and was just rattling them off. Oh, did you talk about this? Did you talk about, the ancient Mayans? And did you talk about Chichen Itza and all this stuff? And I'm like, yeah. And then I said, we're about to do a show about the zone of silence. And she goes, I've not heard of that.
Yeah.
And this lady just got back from Mexico.
Right. So you have to take something like that and go, if someone that knows all this doesn't know about that, is there really something going on here that we can pinpoint?
So, Adam's right. Does it really exist at all? But scientists will dispute that there's any magnetic anomaly here at all. And they kind of indicate that if there was a significant magnetic field, it wouldn't necessarily cause a compass to spin. It would not move. Compasses don't just spin unless you've got like a magnet like in your hand sitting underneath it. Or if you've got a magnetized object like something around your wrist or a ring or something like that will cause it to do that. But like a magnetic field anomaly on the Earth isn't going to make your compass spin. It's going to make it not work.
Point to that object rather than magnetic north.
Exactly. So scientists will say if you see somebody show you a spinning compass, they're showing you a magic trick. Okay? It's a gimmick, just to kind of do the ooh, But they also claim that iron meteors, the idea that iron meteors cause the magnetic anomaly isn't true either. And the Allende meteorite, which I mentioned earlier, it's composed of CV3 carbonaceous chondrite, and it's the largest one ever discovered, but it's not magnetic. And the Chupaderos meteorite, it weighs in at just over 24 tons, and it's made of solid iron. But it's also 80 miles away from Mapimi.
Right.
So it's doubtful that meteorite would cause such an anomaly. And, that's kind of how scientists begin to dismiss this idea that all these meteorites are attracted to this area. And, we're going to talk more about this in a minute, but this is not the only strange stuff. I mean, this is just a lot of the stuff that, like Adam and I said, there's not a lot of evidence to support it, but people really buy into it. And this is the easy stuff for the scientists to go, look, it doesn't work. Look at that guy over there. He's talking on his cell phone.
Yeah.
There have been weird encounters within this zone of silence. And people have reported seeing these people that are out of place for a number of reasons. And the most common story is that people will encounter these 3 blonde-haired strangers that are seen just wandering the landscape for no good reason. But allegedly, they say that this trio is made up of 2 males, 1 female. They're dressed in clothes that are inappropriate for the desert environment. And the people who
bikinis?
Yeah.
Are they wearing bikinis?
Well, that would be more appropriate.
Oh.
I think they're probably wearing
suits and ties?
Suits and ties or slacks, a golf shirt. What are you doing out here? Right. I lost my ball.
Patent leather shoes. And
yeah. They just don't fit. And the people that have actually met and conversed with them say that they're physically attractive, they're very polite, and they speak perfect Spanish. Say that.
Well put. You use your words good, Matt.
How many times am I going to do that on this show? It's going to be like we're going to have like a running list one day of all the things that I've said backwards.
Yeah.
But
it'll be fun.
They speak perfect Spanish. And sometimes they say these strangers will ask ranchers for water, but they never ask for food or anything else.
I don't want food when I'm hot.
And right. When people ask them where they're from, the answer they give is from above. All right.
Yeah.
Can't get any more vague than that, can
you? Did you fall out of an airplane? Or?
Yeah. But whoever these people are, whatever they are, they're said to be non-threatening, And in fact, they seem to be pretty benevolent. In fact, one scientist who worked at the Biosphere Research Station in Mapimi said he went out exploring and he got lost. It's desert, folks. You can get lost in the desert.
And if your compass doesn't work,
that's right.
If your compass is spinning in circles, then
then you're stuck.
Right.
So he said he was approached by 3 tall blonde humanoids. Who says that? They were humanoids. He thought they were just weird people out in the desert, I guarantee it. Who guided him back to the research station before they just vanished. Now, interestingly enough, the biosphere itself has a reputation, as Adam mentioned, for maybe not always opening up about what they're really doing in there.
Yep.
And that they may be researching something a lot stranger than what they own up to.
But that's not unique to this area either. That's most government-run facilities.
True. But a lot of people believe that they're doing secret experiments on animals, researching UFOs, and conducting psychic research. Okay, maybe they are, but I don't know. There's no evidence of that either. But this particular scientist claims that he met these 3 people out in the desert, and they guided him back to the biosphere. Okay.
So they have a good knowledge of that area then, if they're going to guide him back.
Well, all they do is walk around in it, apparently.
Yeah.
So they should know where everything is.
That reminds me of the movie Biodome. You remember the movie Biodome?
I've thought about Pauly Shore every time I see the word biosphere when I've been doing this.
Yeah. When I saw Biosphere, that was the first thing I thought of was Pauly Shore and them like bungee jumping in the Biodome and all that.
Who was the other guy in that? Was it Owen Wilson?
No, it was other guy number 1.
Other guy number 1.
He wasn't important enough for me to remember. You know, we're gonna get hate mail because I just said that. Somebody's gonna love him and love that movie.
He's somebody's cousin.
Yeah, right.
He should have got nominated for an Oscar. It's the greatest performance ever.
Right.
If you're in a movie with Pauly Shore, you're not getting nominated for an Oscar, period.
No. People won't even remember your name because you were in a movie with Pauly Shore.
If you're doing Shakespeare in the Park and Pauly Shore is, Lady Macbeth, you're sunk.
All right. Now, there was a report made in October of 1975 that kind of helped, I guess, further the weirdness in the zone. There was fossil hunters Ernesto and Josefina Diaz that were in the zone to collect samples and unusual rocks and whatever else that they could find. And while they were working, they saw a rainstorm blowing up and heading toward them. And if you've ever been, out in the desert and see a storm, they can get pretty violent.
Mm-hmm.
So fortunately for the couple, though, they noticed it in time and were able to take action to avoid being caught in a flash flood. But they were a little bit too late to completely avoid any problems with it. So they didn't die, but they jumped in their truck and they were trying to outrun the storm, but they couldn't. So the ground around their pickup started to, turn into just a swamp area from all this dumping rain and in the sand and all that. So their truck actually got stranded and they were stuck inside there. And while they were stuck inside, they're trying to figure their way out. 2 men that had, quote, above average height approached the vehicle and its occupants. Now, they offered the trapped couple, they offered to free them. And both rescuers apparently wore identical clothing, which was a yellow raincoat and a cap. And as quickly as the pair showed up, the Diaz truck somehow made its way onto firm ground and out of danger. So,
all right.
Don't know how they did it. They pushed it or some way they got the Diaz's truck up onto solid ground. Now, Ernesto ignored the instructions to remain inside the truck and wanted to personally thank them for their efforts. But whoever these men were vanished without leaving behind a single footprint in the mud. So they somehow got the truck out of the boggy, muddy, sandy ground up onto dry land without the Diaz's knowing how, and then they couldn't find any evidence of the yellow raincoat and capped people. But they did apparently speak fluent Spanish like the natives. So it wasn't like they were, trying to translate or anything. They spoke fluent Spanish that Diaz and his wife could understand.
Yeah, I mean, that's, if you believe Ernesto, that's a really weird experience there. But it's not the only one. I mean, these things keep popping up.
Right.
A journalist named Luis Ramirez Reyes, he visited the zone in November of 1978 as part of a news team that was covering the mysteries of the area, and he encountered the blonde strangers. Now, at the time, their destination was this mysterious biosphere. They needed to get Pauly Shore's autograph.
Yeah.
But Reyes and his photographer got lost in the desert on their way. That, I keep hearing, this terrifies me. These people that just, they're going to the desert and they get lost. I guarantee you, if I know that I'm going to the desert, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I don't get lost.
No kidding.
Now, they did not bring food or water. Again, bad idea.
Right.
And so they were beginning to get a little bit worried. So as they drove along, Reyes saw a group of 3 figures walking up ahead, and he told his photographer, who was the driver, to stop and see if they could ask for directions. Okay.
Probably not a bad plan, really.
Not a bad plan. But again, you got to think, why are these people out here?
Yeah.
But the photographer didn't see anyone, so he kept driving. They continued and had gotten a pretty good distance on down the road when the truck passed the same 3 people again. And so this time Reyes has insisted that they stop, but the driver still didn't see anybody. So Reyes claims that he asked the strangers if they had seen a truck like theirs pass earlier, but they said they hadn't. And it was at this point that Reyes noticed that the people weren't dressed or equipped for all the harsh desert environment. Much like himself, apparently.
Right. That throwing stones in a glass house, mister.
Yeah. And despite the fact that they were out there in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So he asked them where the biosphere was, and these strange people were happy to help. And they pointed the journalists in the right direction. And when they got to the biosphere, they told the staff member there, hey, we met these people out here that told us how to get here. And the biosphere people said, listen, man, there ain't nobody around here for hundreds of miles but us. We're the only people out here. So we don't know who you ran into, but they ain't from here.
Mirage people.
It could be. And the fact that as the story goes, Reyes was the only one that could see them. Maybe he was, maybe he saw a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, right.
Maybe he was, he didn't have any food or water. Maybe he was seeing like an oasis, with a camel, and
could be.
Starts hearing the song. Midnight at the Oasis.
I'd run if I heard that.
All right,
I would run.
Look at these 3 good-looking people. They're going to tell me how to get to this crazy Pauly Shore biosphere. Right. I don't know, but the photographer never saw him. Reyes did, and they got him to the biosphere. But that's where he learned, hey, there ain't nobody else out here, brother. It's just us. Nobody else wants to be here. There was one other strange encounter I found. It was from a guy named Ruben Lopez, who said he was on his way to visit a relative in Ceballos when his engine began to sputter and stall. He noticed 5 small figures about, he says maybe several feet tall, that he thought were children. And he looked at them a little bit closer, and he could see that they were wearing little silver outfits and helmets that opened in the front. But he says their faces were clearly adults, but not children like he thought.
Mm-hmm.
So they started coming towards his truck, and he kind of freaked out, as probably anybody would.
Yep.
So he said he gunned the engine until the engine got up enough that he could speed his way out of there and just leave them in the